At this time, I have the distinct honor to introduce Glendale Mayor Jerry Weiers. Mayor Weiers is a husband, father, grandfather, and devoted public servant who has spent his adult life owning and operating successful businesses, volunteering with nonprofit organizations, and serving his community through public service. He and his wife Sandy have been married for more than 31 years and lived in Arizona since 1966. They have one daughter and one grandson. A while back, a battle with cancer as a young man gave the mayor an outlook on life that is focused on service, creative problem solving, enjoying life to the fullest. It's with these values that he sought to help his community by serving as mayor of Glendale. Mayor Weiers has been very active in his first year. As you can see from that photo slideshow, he's been very active. He's got a lot of photos, so he's been very active, very hard at work, attracting new businesses to our city, helping grow those that are already here. He's played a key role in the city obtaining more than $1 million in grants for public safety and nonprofit groups. Those successes combined with the landing of the new F-35 mission at Luke Air Force Base will be critical as he and the rest of the council continue their work to improve our great city. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Jerry Weiers.
It's just Dr. Pepper. That's all, I promise. Well, good evening. Thank you for attending Glendale Chamber of Commerce annual dinner. It's great to see so many of you here this evening at the beautiful Renaissance Glendale Hotel and Spa. I also want to thank the Chamber's Board of Directors and their new president, Robert Height, for providing me this opportunity to present my annual State of the City address at this event. Tonight I'm going to focus my speech on three very important topics to the City of Glendale. And they are the realities, the priorities, and finally the accomplishments of the city. We have two popular sayings in this country. The first one is an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And another is I've got good news and bad news. Unfortunately, tonight's talk doesn't involve apples. But there's some bad news I need to share with you. And I've decided to start with the bad news, largely because there is no bigger issue facing this city right now than our financial condition. There is no other way to say this than Glendale is facing one of the worst budget shortfalls in the city's history. A high debt load is straining Glendale's operating budget, and twice in the past year, our credit rating has been downgraded to reflect a deterioration of the city's financial position. Now, as a result, the city's budget deficit is now projected to grow to more than $30 million annually in 3 years. I'm sure all of you will agree that $30 million is a very big number, especially for a city our size. Glendale's pending budget shortfall directly impacts the city's general fund. This is the fund that pays for the day-to-day services such as police and fire, libraries, parks, and the rec centers. But it's probably difficult for most of us to understand what this really means in the overall scheme of things. Now, to give you a better idea of what the city's dealing with, I've actually stolen an idea from my good friend Ken Bennett, who is the Secretary of State for Arizona. A few years ago, Secretary Bennett used tissue boxes to visually explain the state's financial situation, which at the time wasn't much different than Glendale's. So now I'd like to ask that you please turn your attention to the large screens on both sides, and we'll go from there.
Thank you for being here tonight for the State of the City address. I'm here to explain Glendale's budget in the upcoming fiscal year. In order to help illustrate the gravity of our situation, I'm going to show how our general fund revenues compare with our general fund expenditures. In other words, we're going to talk about the money that the city brings in compares with the money that the city spends. First, let's talk about revenue. Now, that's the money that the city brings in. Think of it as the city's paycheck. Glendale brings in money from four main sources. First being revenues from local taxes. These are the taxes that Glendale citizens and visitors pay. The bulk of this revenue comes from sales taxes. For illustrative purposes, this amount does not include our temporary sales tax, which is set to expire in about 3.5 years. The next biggest source of money in Glendale comes from the state shared revenues. This is tax revenue collected from the state, from Glendale residents, and it's distributed to the city. The amount the city receives is determined by a formula set by the state. Another source of revenue for Glendale comes from fees. Now, these fees are from recreation programs, inspections, licenses, permits that are issued by the city. And lastly, the city receives money from other small sources such as administrative services provided to the city, utilities, and earnings on the city investments. Now, amounts in this category can include one-time monies. Clearly, local taxes and state shared revenues constitute the largest portion of our revenue, but together all of these make up to $169 million. This is how much money the city has available. Now, on the other side of the table, we have our expenditures. Now, this is money that the city spends to maintain its operations and pay our bills. Now, we have two boxes here. We have the first one, which is our police, and our fire is the second box. Together, they make up public safety. Together, police and fire make up almost half of our general fund expenses. Now, I firmly believe that government's first and most important job is to protect its citizens, and this budget accurately represents the public safety as the #1 priority of our city council. Our next biggest expenses are debt. Now, that's contractual obligations. In other words, it represents all the monies that the city owes from general fund. And think of it like a credit card bill. It's large and you can't ignore it. Now, as you can see, public safety debt and expenses equal our two largest expenditures, and I haven't even introduced the other general fund departments. The biggest of these are our parks, recreation, library department, along with neighborhood services department. Now, together, these make up about 8% of our general fund. Next, we have our public works and community development departments. Now, these two departments make up about 7% of the budget. Next, we have our contingency and capital outlay. Now, think of that kind of like the city's savings account for like a rainy day fund for emergencies. Now, capital outlay includes costs for major projects and equipment. Together, these two groups make up only about 4% of our budget. We also have our city court, which handles an incredible amount of cases brought to them by the police and Glendale citizens. Now, the court makes up about 2% of the budget and really is an extension of our public safety cost. And lastly, we have the rest of our government. Now, this includes other general fund departments. For example, this box includes the mayor's office, the manager's office, the marketing department, the attorney's office, the clerk's office, the budget office, and many others. All told, our city government at its current size was going to cost about $200 million next year. But remember, we're only expected to bring in $169 million. As you can see, our budget is not balanced. Our expenditure side is much higher than the revenue side. In other words, we're spending a lot more money than we're bringing in. And further, we're required to have a balanced budget. In order to bring these two groups into balance, the city has three options. First, we can cut spending to match our income. However, the biggest expense is public safety and debt, and simply cannot be changed without risking the safety of our public or defaulting on our obligations. Any cuts would have to come from these departments at the very top. Given that Glendale's government has already made many cuts to every department, the next step making cuts could be either eliminating or privatizing entire functions of government. As you can see, small cuts alone simply won't do the job. Secondly, we can increase our revenue. In other words, the city could raise taxes to meet our obligations. To use sales tax as an example, the city would need to increase our sales tax by a full cent just to close that gap. And third, we could do a combination of options 1 and 2. Now, I know decisions will not be easy, but with your help, we can get Glendale back on solid ground. The council and myself are working diligently to ensure Glendale's future. Please hang in there with us. We're in it for the long haul.
Thank you. I hope the video helps illustrate and put into better perspective the reality of where our city is today. Glendale's financial problem is real, and it's very serious. The issues that created the situation existed before many of us arrived in office. But now is time to stop kicking the can down the road and actually deal with the financial mistakes of the past. We must take ownership of this problem. I have to be honest with you, this budget challenge that the city's facing right now sickens me to no end. But I also realize it's our responsibility and no one else's. We need to fix this once and for all. And like it or not, getting to $30 million will require difficult decisions being made. My fellow council members and I must come together as one to provide the leadership necessary to implement real solutions. I know our city manager, Brenda Fisher, will work with her team to ensure that the residents and businesses understand the available options we are discussing in order to effectively address this matter. Second topic I'd like to talk to you tonight is updating you on some of my most important priorities as your mayor of your city. I'm sure all of you know that Glendale will be hosting the Super Bowl next year, February 1st, 2015. Now, as we all know, this hugely popular national event brings widespread exposure to audiences all around the world, as well as generates revenue for the state of Arizona. During the last Super Bowl in 2008, visitors to the state spent a total of $213 million on new direct taxable purchases. This contributed to generating nearly $370 million for the Arizona economy. Now, that's good news. The bad news is the current model of hosting major events in Arizona obligates the local host city to provide and pay for a significant police and fire services that are both required before the game and on game day, services that cost millions to provide. When we hosted the last Super Bowl, Glendale spent $2 million, more than $2 million on public safety costs alone. And folks, in the wake of the Boston Marathon bombing last year, and with all the security scares at the recently completed Winter Olympics, the security costs required to host these types of events are increasing yearly. In fact, the bid the Arizona Super Bowl Host Committee submitted to the NFL estimated that more than $3 million may be needed for next year's Super Bowl. These costs are the necessities required by federal agencies such as the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security. So there isn't a way to cut corners or opt out. Prior to Maricopa County, voters passed a proposition 14 years ago that provided funding to build a stadium. Regional and state leaders had already determined that Arizona was going to compete to host these national events. Now, would it make more sense that the state, being the largest benefactor, help pay for these national events that are held in Arizona? Unfortunately, the public safety costs are so large, the host city ends up losing millions of dollars even after accounting for revenues that come into our community. This is an extremely difficult task for a city like Glendale that might be forced to eliminate programs and services to shore up our bottom line. Folks, we simply don't have the money. I mean, how devastating would it be for the state and the Phoenix area, metro area, if they were not able to even bid on these future events because the host city cannot pay for the required police officers and firefighters? It'd be a shame and a huge blow to our state's coffers, as well to Arizona's tourism industry, an industry that ranks one of the largest in the state. Other states that frequently compete against Arizona to host these types of events have already figured this out. They've come to the realization that placing the burden on the host city to pay for public safety costs is not a sustainable model. So these other states pay for public service costs when they host national events. We don't think Arizona's current model is fair, and a lot of other people at the state, regional, and local levels don't think it's fair either. That's why I've made this my #1 priority this year. We need to get state legislation passed that will reimburse host cities for these security costs. The committee chair at the state legislature, recognizing the importance of what is known as House Bill 2547, has already placed an amendment on the bill. And that amendment makes the state's reimbursement program a one-year pilot program. Now that would allow for Glendale to seek up to $2 million in public safety reimbursements costs for the 2015 Super Bowl. Following the next year's game, a major events study committee will review all information regarding costs and revenues from the Super Bowl. The committee will then make recommendations as to whether the program should continue and in what form. Now, I want to make clear this bill is only about public safety, period. It doesn't matter if the major event's held in Phoenix, Tucson, Scottsdale, Tempe, or Glendale, or if they're a sports or a non-sports related. The proposed legislation would allow any city in the state to be reimbursed for providing police and fire services. This applies for such events as the NBA or the MLB All-Star Game, a Republican or Democrat National Convention, the Final Four, or other major events. The real beauty of this state bill is that those reimbursement dollars would come directly from tax collections the state receives from the event itself. So if Arizona doesn't host a national event, the state simply isn't out any money. Now, before I go any further, I need to clarify some confusion about this bill. I've heard some people say, why is Glendale going out bidding on these events if they can't afford the public safety cost? To be clear, the city of Glendale does not bid on these large mega events. Glendale did not submit the bid for the Super Bowl in either 2008 or in 2015. We didn't submit the bid for the National College Football Championship game that'll be played here in 2016. Rather, these competitive bids are prepared and submitted by representatives from such groups as the Arizona Sports and Tourism Authority, the Arizona Super Bowl Host Committee, the Arizona Cardinals, the Greater Phoenix Convention and Visitors Bureau, Arizona State University, and the Arizona Hotel and Lodging Association. Now think about it for a moment. The list of organizations I just mentioned, does anyone know what they all have in common? That's right, they're all state and regional organizations. The late, great Vince Lombardi is without a doubt the greatest coach of any sport of all time. One of his greatest qualities was leadership. Coach Lombardi once said, "People who work together will win, whether it be against complex football defenses or the problems of modern society." We too need to work together to fix this problem. It's good for Arizona, it's good for the region, and it's good for Glendale. And folks, it's time to support our home team. Thank you. While on the subject of public safety, our foremost priority will always be to keep our citizens and communities safe. I'd like to recognize Fire Chief Mark Burdick and all the firefighters, the EMTs, the support staff for the great job they do each and every day. I also want to acknowledge Police Chief Deborah Black and the dedicated men and women of the Glendale Police Department. Now, their efforts have not gone unnoticed. From the officer on the street to the dispatcher taking the 911 call to the folks locking up the bad guys, their efforts are greatly appreciated. I am pleased to share with you the impacts of their hard work, which has resulted in a significant reduction of crimes occurring in our city. Violent crimes as well as property crimes decreased in Glendale in 2013. Violent crimes declined 20%, nearly 20%, while property crimes decreased 9% compared to the previous year. In fact, the level of violent crime today is at the lowest level we've seen in 5 years. This reduction is significant, and my goal of our police is for everyone, our residents, our business owners, our visitors to feel safe, whether they're in their homes, going to work, or enjoying one of the many festivals the City of Glendale has to offer. I have all the confidence in our fire and police departments and their ability to function as a highly trained and professional public safety team. Now, on a related note, I also want to thank the Gila River Indian community for their grant that enabled the city to purchase 18 new police vehicles. 5 of these vehicles were recently converted to propane. Now, this was done in part of a pilot program to examine the cost and the effectiveness of using propane as an alternative fuel. This initiative has the potential to lower our carbon footprint, as well as decrease our fuel cost to our taxpayers. How about if we lighten things up just a little bit and talk about our accomplishments, recent accomplishments? Glendale still remains the city of choice in the region, especially when it comes to economic development and job creation. In fiscal year 2013, which ended last June, Glendale facilitated more than 1,200 new jobs coming to our city. And since that time, nearly 2,000 additional jobs have been created. Now, all this demand spurred the city to host a job fair in November in an effort to fill more than 1,000 jobs with our residents. The most recent company to bring the highest number of jobs was Emperor Marketing. The National Call Center hired more than 750 employees to work at its facility at the 51st Avenue and Bell Road location. All this positive economic activity has helped lower Glendale's unemployment rate up to 6.2%. This is lower than both unemployment rates at the state and national levels. Absolutely. Now, as I alluded to in my earlier video this evening, the city has to increase its revenues in order to stabilize our financial problem. And in the words of the late Walt Disney, the way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. And Glendale's been doing just that. One new company which is planning to start construction any day now will substantially increase city revenues. And that company is American Furniture Warehouse. This is not your typical retailer, as American Furniture Warehouse will occupy more than 600,000 square feet at 99th Avenue and Bethany Home Road. Now, for all you shoppers out there, that's roughly half the size of Arrowhead Town Center. That's huge. It is estimated the store will generate more than $3 million to the city's general fund during its first year of its operation, and approximately $2.5 million every year thereafter. To say this new revenue is much needed to help sustain city services would be an understatement. American Furniture Warehouse, which will employ about 300 people, is expected to open, listen to this September. Absolutely. We also had a number of companies move or expand their operations into our city last year. And the names of some of these businesses were the Canadian-based Zytec Building Systems, Barron Lighting Group, Arrowhead Cadillac, Performance Steel, Terminex, Northern Pipeline, Harvard Drug Group, and the Hensley Beverage Company. All these new businesses will help strengthen Glendale's economy while creating new job opportunities for our residents. This is all very good news, but there's more. Now, I want to talk about some exciting ways Glendale is thinking outside the box. In fact, you might say we're recycling the box. Just last week, Councilmember Shavira and myself participated in a ribbon-cutting ceremony for a new sustainability project at our city-owned landfill. The Recycling Center is the first of 2 phases that represents a new public-private partnership between the city and Viesti Energy. The first phase of the project is expected to process up to 180,000 tons of trash each year, and pull out about 26,000 tons of recyclable material from this trash. The trash turned commodity will then be sold to recyclers at market price. And I'm really looking forward to the second phase of the project, which will convert trash into electricity. Now, that's really cool. This project has several potential key benefits. Number one, it promotes environmental stewardship. Secondly, it could extend the life of our landfill by diverting 3 times the amount of recyclables out of the trash than we currently generate. The agreement with VSD guarantees more than $500,000 annually in new revenue for the city. Now, this is just a snapshot of some of the recent economic activity that's happening in Glendale. There are several other significant projects that will also occur this year, but you can all relax, quit looking at your watches. I'm not going to go cover that right now. We'll cover that next year in the State of the City. Before I end the accomplishments portion of my speech, there are some distinguished guests here tonight that I'd like to recognize. These very important people are government and business leaders responsible for moving our great country, our great state, and our great city forward. Due to their dedication and support of the community, I'd like to ask each of them to please come up onto stage when I call their name. I will then present each one of them with a special coin that represents my version of the mayor's key to the city. So if you would, first, please help me welcome a very good friend of mine for many years, Maricopa County Supervisor Clint the Eggman Hickman. Stand right here.
I used to have the key to this city.
Secondly, Governor of the Gila River Indian Community, Gregory Mendoza. Thanks for your support and generous grant that paid for the 18 new police vehicles. You'll stand next to me. Also with us tonight is the president of the Salt River Pima Indian Community, Diane Enos. Diane, thank you for your support and generous grant. Thank you for your support and generous grant for a brand new fire truck. We have to kind of get you tight together there. Next, President and CEO of Midwestern University, Dr. Kathleen Geppinger. I know she's here. I don't know there. She's out here. Thank you for your continued investment in Glendale, and congratulations on the opening of the state's first veterinary school this coming fall. Next, I'd like to ask President and CEO of American Furniture Warehouse, Jake Jabs. Sir, thank you for making Glendale your city of choice for your next mega retail location. And finally, it is my privilege to introduce Brigadier General, the commander of the 56th Fighter Wing at Luke Air Force Base, my wingman, Michael Rothstein. If you want to take pictures, I'm going to give each one of them a coin. It'll be just a second here. You need to tilt it up more? How do you want to do that? You just want to stand like this.
Absolutely.
Good?
Mine's oval, right?
This is that long, really slow part. Thank all of you so much. Thank all of you for being here tonight as my guests. It really means an awful lot to me. Now, there are a few other special guests tonight that I'd like to acknowledge. And first, this special person is someone who I affectionately refer to as Glendale's First Lady, my bride of 31 years, my wife, Sandy. She really does make this happen. She really does. Now, I wasn't sure if my next VIP was going to make it tonight, as he had prior commitment last year. After all, you never know when one of your special guests is going to attend these types of events, especially when they're still in diapers. But he is here tonight, so if all of you would please help me in welcome Glendale's future mayor, my grandson Connor, who is accompanied by my lovely daughter, Chrissy. And I just found out about a week ago that my daughter is now with second child, so I couldn't be any more tickled. As I wrap up my second annual State of the City address, I want to leave you with this. Since taking office in January of last year, I've been actively working to bring new economic and community activities to Glendale. In just my first year, I've helped the city obtain more than $1 million in grants for public safety and nonprofit groups. I formed a mayor's business advisory group made up of key business leaders from Glendale and surrounding cities. We've hosted an event to help our military veterans. We brought fireworks back on the 4th of July, and we even established an annual Christmas parade to promote and bring even more visitors to historic downtown Glendale. Now, these events have improved the quality of life for our residents, increased economic activity in the city, and most importantly, this is my favorite part, most importantly, did not use any taxpayers' money. Thank you. As I've outlined tonight, there's a tremendous amount of work ahead of us. And without a doubt, 2014 will be a very challenging year. But if the council and I are honest with ourselves, set attainable goals, and work hard to achieve them, this will be the year we get Glendale back on the road and moving in the right direction. This is Glendale's utmost priority. And we have to earn back our citizens' trust in their city government. And we have to get our city employees once again believing in the organization they work for. So what I'm asking from citizens, city employees, businesses, and everyone in this room tonight is for your continued support and interest in our city. And to not give up on us as we make what will be some very difficult decisions. Not yet, Connor, hold on. With that, I'll leave you with another quote from Coach Lombardi, and that is, individual commitment to a group effort, that's what makes a team work. It's what makes a company work. It's what makes a society work. That's what makes a civilization work. Hang in there, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to solve the challenges facing us and get Glendale back on solid financial footing once again. Thank you so much for being here tonight. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. You know, whether we like it or not, we do have to say, we appreciate you laying it out there for us to understand and really embrace as a community to understand the facts of where we stand on the three priorities that you had and you outlined. So we cannot thank you enough for your honesty and transparency with that. At this time, we're running just a little bit longer than I had anticipated, but that was my fault, not the mayor's. So we're going to move the program along to the chamber portion, where we will, at this time, welcome our 2013 Chairman of the Board, Don Johnson of Arizona State Credit Union, to the podium. Don.
Good evening, everyone. It's been my pleasure to serve as the Chamber's Chairman of the Board for the year 2013. Over the past year, the Chamber has undergone some significant amount of change and transition. As you may know, the Chamber sold its headquarters and moved to new office spaces at 5800 West Glen. This new location will serve the Chamber well as we embark on a new day in the organization. Not only did we experience a move, but we said goodbye to a longtime president and CEO, Don Reinhardt. He retired after serving as the chamber president for nearly 16 years. Under Don's leadership, he saw many ups and downs, including some of the worst economic downturns that we have ever experienced. And I'm proud to say that we have weathered that storm and are ready for our next chapter of greatness. We welcome our new president and CEO, Robert Height, who comes to our community with 15 years of chamber management. He's served in Las Vegas, Austin, and Cape Ann chambers, and he's hit the ground running with a new plan to lead our chamber into the future. As I said, when I took over the chamber last year, we have a new energy, and I certainly think that's evident. So over the past year, we've continued to serve our members and community through leadership and partnerships. The chamber has hosted a number of events, programs to help our members connect with one another and have a positive impact on businesses. We will continue to do so to make Glendale the best place to live, work, and play. I want to thank the 2013 Board of Directors, as well as our many volunteers, and most of all, our chamber members. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. At this time, I'd like to invite up our 2014 Chairman of the Board, Mr. Dave Mitchell from Ideal Insurance.
As the chairman of the board, and on behalf of the Glendale Chamber of Commerce, we would like to thank you, Don Johnson, and present this plaque to you for an excellent job as our chairman of the board in 2013. You have certainly set the mark high. Let's do this one more time. Please put your hands together and help us show our appreciation to Don Johnson, her employer, the Arizona State Credit Union.
And flowers.
And we have flowers for her also. Before I start my short remarks, please allow me to introduce our outstanding team at the Glendale Chamber of Commerce. Team, please stand and be acknowledged. Audience, I ask that you please hold your applause until everyone is standing. Robert Height, who you have met, is our CEO and President. Monica Nyland, Director of Administration. Charlotte Givens, Director of Marketing and Communications. Charlotte has served us for 2 years and is now moving to Washington, D.C. Our newest member of the team, and a person we look forward to working with, is Gregory Walsh, who will be our new Marketing and Communication Director. Harry Shapiro, Director of Investor Relations, and Jim Payton, Director of Operations. Thank you, everyone, for all you do for us. When anyone gives time to an organization, there is time that is taken from another place. My brother and business partner, Dan Mitchell, is graciously giving me this time to serve the Chamber, largely because of the positive impact the Glendale Chamber has had on our business over the last 20 years. As a small business, we owe the Glendale Chamber of Commerce a debt of gratitude. I also want to thank you, the Sounds of the Southwest Singers. As always, you did a great job. Thank you for singing for us tonight. Also seated at Ideal's table tonight are several friends and my fiance, Patty Turner. Will you all stand? Please all stand. I appreciate all of your support. Change in an organization is inevitable, but the change must be effective in order to have a positive outcome. Chambers of Commerce, like every other organization, have to change in order to remain relevant and viable. The Glendale Chamber of Commerce is no exception. We do not want to be the Glendale Chamber of yesterday. Times are changing. And I encourage the business community to contact us. Our organization is on the move. Let us not forget that it is still the small businesses, less than 100 employees, who collectively are the largest segment of our economic fiber in the United States. Over 85% of our members at the Glendale Chamber of Commerce are small businesses. These businesses do not have a strong voice when they speak as one. But collectively, through the Glendale Chamber and our membership, we have a much stronger voice. This will be a year of effective change. Our new dynamic president of the Glendale Chamber, Robert Height, has brought several new ideas and has already started to implement several of them. As this year proceeds, I believe you will see a positive metamorphosis as we work together to strengthen the Glendale Chamber. As the Glendale Chamber Board, we have set our direction through goals and objectives for 2014. Networking has always been a vital service we provide to our members. And we will continue to emphasize this benefit to our members through doing some of the same events. However, we plan on enhancing this benefit with some new events that we believe will make our events stronger and increase attendance. If you are not on our mailing list, I encourage you to contact our office. We have a lot of fun at our events, and we would love to have you be a part of it. Included in these goals, and as stated, we plan on having a stronger voice as a chamber, both locally and at the state level. To put more emphasis on this effort, we have established a new Government Affairs Council. The council will work over the upcoming weeks to establish our priorities and objectives for the Glendale Chamber as they relate to public policy. And we look forward to vetting candidates, and here are our issues. The Chamber Board will then look at endorsing candidates as we move forward. We'll be working to identify candidates to support our collective mission of the Glendale Chamber of Commerce. Although limited regulation is necessary, over-regulation and over-taxation is extremely damaging to the business community and stifles our economic growth in our local economy. We will work to strengthen ourselves as the voice of business for our community. The Glendale Chamber will operate with a balanced budget and be financially sound. We have formed a finance committee who will guide the board as we make decisions that affect our membership. Expect a visible, active board of directors. We serve the Glendale Chamber as volunteers out of our desire to see the business community in Glendale prosper, which in turn has a direct impact on everyone in Glendale and the surrounding community's quality of life. Your comments, participation, and prayers are encouraged as we make important decisions and together watch the Glendale Chamber prosper as we serve our business community. I'm very proud of our Board of Directors. And at this time, I would like to recognize the 2014 Board of Directors who will serve alongside me. Audience, once again, I ask you to please hold your applause until I've read the names of all the Board of Directors. Board of Directors, please stand as I call your name. Bobby Magdaleno, ASU West, and 2015 Chair-elect. Steve Adams, Alpha Graphics, and our Treasurer. Dawn Johnson, Arizona State Credit Union, and past Chair. Robert Height, Glendale Chamber of Commerce President and CEO. Scott Spillman, BNC National Bank. Bill Toops, Glendale Star. Ariana Dearman Giudice from Wells Fargo. Mary Pritchard, Pritchard Insurance, who could not be here tonight. Jean Higginbotham, Humana. Eva Bowles, SRP, who is not with us tonight. Rob Sturman, Walmart. Greg Rogers, Glendale Community College. Dina Steinberg, Banner Thunderbird Medical Center. Jeff Blake from the Blake Companies. Dr. Ron Natali, Glendale Peoria YMCA. Dr. Donna Lewis, Glendale Elementary Schools. Colonel Jeremy Sloan, and Mayor Jerry Weiers. This, ladies and gentlemen, is your chamber leadership, and we appreciate all of your support. You've been a fantastic audience. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you, Dave and Dawn, for your service as we go forward with the chamber. A few things before we wrap up, and I promise to be brief. This evening, we look towards the future of this city, and there's one thing that's certain, the need for us all to work together collectively and address the challenges ahead as the mayor outlined. And we appreciate him for putting the facts out on the table for us, so thank you again. We must all look forward to finding solutions together. There is great economic promise in Glendale and the entire West Valley region. All of us who live and do business here have a stake in that succeeding. And my hope is that we all work together in exploring ways that we can work with our city to regain its solid financial footing. The Glendale Chamber of Commerce and our partnership with the mayor, the city council, our new city manager, is vital. And we at the Glendale Chamber of Commerce are all in. We are all in to do what we can to help finding solutions to strengthen the financial position, pursue economic development opportunities, and support job creation in the city of Glendale. This year, the Chamber, we will be working to refine our program of work, adding greater value to our members and the community. We recently launched a new website. We provided some new member benefits, like the Office Depot program that's launched. And we've also launched, in your place saying tonight, our new Glendale magazine. Thank you to Jack Nyland for working with us on this. This will become a quarterly publication that we're in partnership with Apple Publishing. It gives us a vehicle to communicate to the community at large. This will be mailed out to new residents, new businesses, and we're really going to do a good job at working to make sure we communicate to our membership. There is new energy at the Chamber. There's new hope. I hope that we can be, and I can be, the person that inspires our community and our chamber as we go into the next journey. Speaking of new energy, and Dawn said that, and I wasn't here a year ago when Dawn said the chamber would have new energy, but I'll tell you, it's not easy to move a chamber, sell a building, and do those things. So Dawn's direction and leadership is to be commended for that, because in my past 3 chambers, I've had to move the chamber all 3 times. So once the chamber was within a great building within the city, I was happy to hear that. So that was one thing off the to-do list I didn't have to worry about. Speaking of energy, just tonight, coming in, I was given this envelope, and we had a record month for January at the Chamber. And we have a new member, returning member actually, previous board member who signed up tonight in this envelope. The business has been in Glendale for 21 years, locally family owned, Italian restaurant, Cucina Tagliani. Kelly, thank you for your membership. Thank you. Thank you for your belief in the Chamber. I know Dave recognized the team, but I've asked them to come up on stage because I am a big believer in team. I can stand before you, I can do a lot, but I can't do anything for you, our membership, without my team. None of us here are above doing anything we need to do to make the Glendale Chamber the best it can be. This team many times works behind the scenes tirelessly and long hours to do what needs to be done. And in fact, we actually have a brand new member to our team that has just come on this evening, Carrie Kaufman, who will be joining us in our membership retention and sales efforts. So this is your Glendale Chamber team. Thank you. As we know, Dave said, change and transition is constant in life. It's difficult. There are a few people here tonight that have gone above and beyond, truly above and beyond, in helping me as I take over the chamber. And I just want to say thank you to a few people. Our Vice Mayor and Council Member Yvonne Knack, thank you very much. Mr. Bill Toops over here to my right, thank you. And Dave Mitchell, thank you very much. You three have really gone above and beyond to help me with the transition into the chamber. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank our board of directors, the hiring committee, and really many of our members who have been so gracious to me. I truly am humbled at the welcoming that I've received, and I look forward to serving the chamber for many, many years to come. And in closing, as you leave us this evening, we ask each of you to help do your part. Think innovatively, to partner and work together as we leverage our best assets. We have many community leaders here with us tonight that I believe are willing to roll up their sleeves and work towards a better tomorrow. We are all in this together, and together we must find solutions to build a brighter future for Glendale. Thank you. Good night.